The next day, Ash had trouble putting it into words. There really wasn't much to say.
This is brutal.
You can say that again.
This is brutal.
She already said that.
But you said...
Is it another green mage?
Hector emerged from the entrails.
Yep, definitely a gray mage.
That brings the total of confirmed kills from this assassin to 3.
Given that prior to now there was no greater threat than a gray mage, it's a bit frightening to think that there's another force out there hunting them.
The real question is, are they on our side? Or do they have their own agenda?
Maybe it's Ash's pair.
Prude shot Belinda a withering glare.
What? I'm just saying, it could be good. Something stronger than a gray mage on our side.
We keep assuming that this assassin is stronger than...
What?
Nope.
We keep assuming that this assassin is stronger than a gray mage. Given how little we know of this individual's magic, it may simply be more a matter of rock versus scissors. I am just posing hypotheses. I don't want to accept that there's a force out there that's more dangerous than the power a gray mage can wield.
You just don't want to admit that Ash is stronger than you.
What? Belinda looked sideways at Ash, smirking.
No, it's not that. I'm just scared to imagine something so powerful. There should be... balance.
Hector turned to a pair of guards who had been on standby.
Contact the Medicians. We'll leave it to them to clean up the bodies.
Ash was a bit shocked to see Hector taking to command so easily. She turned to Prude, examining her expression, trying to see if any of the same surprise could be found on her face. Her face was passive, looked lost in thought. Had Prude expected Hector to take command? Ash couldn't help but wonder if the two had discussed who would assume the mantle of king, assuming they married. It felt wrong to Ash to think that Hector would take the title away from Prude. Trying to suppress the feelings, she gave the corpse one last look. Just like the others, nailed to the wall like an insect, but by distorted metal. What kind of power could do something like that? That night, Ash woke up with a start. She felt a violence in her belly, a demanding hunger. It can wait till morning. Ash pulled her blankets tight, forcing her eyes shut and ignoring the low rumble. I'll admit I'm picking this because I know what happens on the other one and I'm curious. It could wait. She needed sleep more than she needed food. Once she woke to the smell of a pungent burning, it was clearly burning food. Had the cook burnt something? The next day she woke up early to the sound of her grumbling stomach. With a pace that would make a poorly reanimated skeleton seem like a paladin enhanced for sprinting, Ash lurched into the kitchen. She was greeted by the smiling face of the chef, stacking pancakes tall enough that their weight was beginning to compromise the structural integrity of the lower layers.
I can see in your eyes you are hungry.
With a forceful hand, he gave her a plate. The stack immediately began to wobble, threatening to topple.
Not burning things today, I see.
I never burn things. I am a master chef. Fire is my slave, and it shall never blacken my meals.
With those words, he stabilized her tower further with a less than healthy dose of syrup.
Now, go eat, and feel well.
Ash smiled. Without further argument, Ash dug in, happy to fill her belly.
Again.
You know what?
Now,
Not burn.
Just because there is interesting information for you to this option, I'm just going to do it anyways. This wasn't going to wait till morning. With a prolonged groan, Ash flung herself out of bed. One thing people don't often tell you about castles is exactly how cold they get at night. Ash's feet felt like ice as she padded swiftly across the stone. As she neared the kitchen, she was surprised to find it still alight and sound coming from within.
Oh, come on, there must be something left over. I can't believe they completely cleaned it out already.
Was the cook looking for a midnight snack too? Ash peered around the corner and sure enough found the cook rummaging through the cabinets and drawers, looking for something.
Good to see I'm not the only one who gets midnight cravings.
The cook nearly struck the ceiling with his leap of surprise.
Whoa! Whoa, excuse me. I did not think anyone else was up. I was looking for some leftovers. I am a bit peckish.
Couldn't you just cook something fresh?
Ah, but who wants to fire up the oven and get everything out? I was hoping to just find some leftovers.
You could always just make some pasta and cheese, like you used to make for me and Prude in the middle of the night.
Ah, yes, but I don't want to go through that effort for just myself.
The cook seemed to regret his words even as he said them. Ash felt a little guilt in pressuring him when he was not as much in the mood to cook, but he had once told her to wake him at any hour if she were hungry. Surely whatever reluctance possessed him now would not be enough to dissuade him from his promise.
You can cook for the two of us. I can help.
Oh, yes, of course.
The cook looked near to panic.
I'll start boiling the water and find some dried pasta. You should start on the sauce.
Of course, of course.
Ash pulled out a larger pot, filled it with water, and set it over the stove. Opening the stove's belly, she found embers still flaring away inside. The cook never let the fire die. She fed it a few logs and spied a glance as she walked towards the storage closet. He seemed intent as he mixed something in a pot. Ash was glad to see him focus. He loved to cook. Whatever had been eating at him was apparently not enough to dissuade his instincts and passion to make food. It didn't take her long to find the dry pasta stores, and somehow she hadn't been in here since she was... Oh wait, though she hadn't been in here since she was a child. I don't know where I went wrong there. She gave her best guess at how much would be needed and filled a mixing bowl from the shelf. Ash stepped out, prepared to ask the cook if her portions were correct, when she caught sight of a plume of wicked black smoke curling from a pot on the stove. The cook's face was a mask of panic as he picked up the pot of water for the pasta and made to turn it over onto whatever he had managed to burn. There had been a time she had worked in here, and it was then that she had learned an important lesson about cooking fires. Ash rushed forward and stopping the advance of the cook, and burying the fire of the foul-smelling monstrosity the cook had produced under a nearby towel. It took a few minutes for the smoke to clear, the two open nearby windows to the bitter winter cold.
You appear to be having an off night.
You have no idea.
The cook gave her a smile, and Ash felt a shiver run up her spine. She never really felt that familiar with a man, but right now she felt like this was home. It was so odd, she couldn't remember the last time she had felt it. This place certainly hadn't been home since she had returned. But somehow, sitting there beneath what could be more easily identified as tar than sauce, beside a cook who had probably never burnt a meal in his entire life, Ash felt at home. That's probably not true. How exactly did that work?
So, do you like being a necromancer?
Huh?
I mean, as opposed to something else.
Oh, you mean like a paladin?
I mean, like, anything. Have you ever wondered what it might have been like to be born...
The cook paused to gesture vaguely.
something else?
Ash paused. How was this something she hadn't ever thought about? She choked on the words as the two sat in silence.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine. I'm happy with who I am, despite all the difficulties that have come with it. I don't want to change.
Do you resent those who do?
Ash immediately thought to Prude.
No, not ever. People should be whoever they want to be. They should change if they need to, and they should be happy. That's what's important.
Ash turned to the cook. He smiled and wiped his eyes.
Thank you. I needed to hear that.
Why? I would think you were happy with who you were.
I change more than you think. I need to excuse myself.
Without another word, he was gone, still wiping his eyes. Ash left the burnt pot to soak and happily found a jar of pickled plums and hungry enough to eat about anything, ate a few before returning to bed. The next day she woke up early to the sound of her grumbling stomach.
Now, go eat. And feel well.
This was the cook she knew. Whatever had got into him last night had passed. She was more than okay with him refusing to admit he burnt something if his mood was restored. I'm gonna
Now,
guess it went over something
not
important.
I can
No. Oh.
What?
Oh, I'm going the wrong way.
To
That's what's... Or the pace that would make a poorly reanimated skeleton seem like a paladin enhanced for sprinting. Ash lurched to the kitchen. Yeah.
I can see in your eyes you are hungry.
Not burning.
I never burn things. Now, go eat. And feel well.
Okay, yeah, no. There was nothing different. She was more than okay with him refusing to admit he burnt something if only his mood ever was restored. But a pang of guilt struck her. Somehow, seeing him back to his normal self. That didn't feel like home, not like I had the night before. What had it been? Ash let the thoughts die as she turned to her meal. She was, after all, still hungry.
Again.
The command was far more easily spoken than obeyed, and it was with great effort that Ash raised her thin blade up once more and brought it down at Belinda. Belinda heaved with an audible effort, barely lifting the blade up in time to intercept the blow, but no longer possessing the strength to heft her own weapon after the impact. It fell, useless to the grass of the practice field. Belinda cradled her hands, gloves removed, occasionally blowing on the naked red flash.
You would be dead now if this were a real fight, Belinda.
I know, but my hands are raw. I can't keep up with either of you. Honestly, I don't understand how Ash doesn't even look winded yet. Not to mention, every muscle in my body is screaming!
Including the ones that involve you moving your mouth, to speak. As Ash began to take stock of herself, she realized the full extent the strain of training had begun to take on her, and massaged at blisters on her palm.
I think we need to take a break for today. It's been a few hours at least.
Heck paused, nodded, and collected the pair of practice swords.
Very well. But we'll have to continue training tomorrow if you want to make any real progress.
I'll be lucky if I can even move tomorrow.
I was just considering that perhaps you should use the hot springs the soldiers use after intense training. I personally find the heat makes me sweat in excess and only causes dehydration. But perhaps the two of you might actually benefit.
There's a hot springs here, and no one told me?
Belinda turned to Ash, her eyes alight with delight.
No more bucket baths!
You are far too enthused by that.
Hey, you get excited over dead plants. My thing is hot baths.
Your thing should be more significant than that, Belinda. You never actually achieved a specialty. Your graduation is a farce without it.
Belinda stuck her tongue out at Hector and then smiled.
Do you know the way to the barracks, Ash?
Sure. I've been there more than enough times when I was much smaller.
Well, I'm supposed to spend the evening with Prudence.
Wow, you don't sound too enthused to spend the night with your lover.
Elf nod.
We are not lovers yet. I'm not quite ready for that, even if she asked.
I just meant... never mind.
I struggle with intimacy sometimes. Prudence does not.
TMI, dude.
I feel as though our relationship is lopsided in this, and I'm concerned it may create tension.
Oh, that's nice. We're going to the hot springs. Have fun!
Belinda hooked Ash's arm and began marching away, leaving Hector looking lost and forlorn.
That wasn't very nice.
I know it may seem cruel, but there has to be at least one thing he's not good at. Otherwise, the entire balance of the cosmos will be misaligned. Besides, given how much Prude likes to cuddle in the dunce, I highly doubt there's actually a problem. Now, I'm really hurting, and a hot bath sounds like just the thing, you know?
I suppose.
Light and shadows, woman. If you really are concerned, we can go check on them afterwards. But right now, we need to put our own needs to the forefront.
In that case, I might want to point out we're going the wrong way.
The two double back, passing Hector again.
Hello again, Hector.
The female side of the barracks was mostly abandoned. Despite attempts by the kingdom to encourage gender diversity amongst the ranks of their army, few women still chose to join the military. Few who did were usually motivated to do so by something more than your typical recruit. Very few of the women who currently served were not officers, and fewer still wanted to be posted in the capital. The bath itself was large and steaming. Its design was a bit archaic, and it was rank with sulfur, but the heat seemed to massage the pain from Ash's muscles even before she climbed in.
Do you think we bathe in our undergarments, or...
Ash turned to see a pile of clothing, small clothes included, lying on the rocks near the entrance. A splash broke the scene's silence only a moment later.
Ouch! It's more shallow than I expected. I hurt my butt.
Ash smirked and slowly climbed into the water herself. Exhaustion struck her like a mace to the head, and she felt like she could almost just fall asleep right then and there.
So, you said you had been to the barracks lot before. Why's that?
Ash hadn't thought about that in a long time.
My dad was a soldier. I used to visit him a lot when I was little. He was stationed in the barracks directly beside these.
You said he was a soldier. What does he know?
Ash closed her eyes.
Dead.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Belinda seemed to relax a bit at the words. Apparently her words had troubled herself far more than Ash.
The truth is, I haven't even thought about him in a long time. I was so young then. His death just wasn't an important part of my life. Me and Prude would just say that we had two mommies. That was long before we realized the significance of what we were saying.
I imagine you stirred up quite the scandal. An illicit affair between the king and her servant.
Belinda thought about it for a moment.
That's kinda hot, actually.
I thought you were interested in boys.
Yeah, in my head I was the king and Elfnod was servant.
I thought you had realized by now he was...
Gay? Yeah. I picked up on that after I confessed my love, and he had to expressly state it after rebuffing me twice.
Ash bit her lip, feeling a momentary pang of guilt, but ultimately deciding that this was still a battle she wanted no part of. She had issues of her own that occupied her mind. Ash laid a hand on Belinda's shoulder.
I'm sorry. If it makes you feel any better, at least you didn't force him into a kiss.
Wait, did you kiss?
Belinda looked shocked before her face curled into a Cheshire grin.
We may play for different teams, Miss Veronica Ashmar, but we're in the same boat.
Ash smiled.
And it doesn't bother you being naked in a bath with me?
Nah, if you want to look, go ahead. As long as you don't do anything super creepy, I don't mind. It's just nudity.
Huh. So tell me about yourself. Do you have any family?
Yeah, 3 little brothers and my parents. They're both alive. Don't know for how much longer, though. They're 70-something.
70? They had you when they were 50?
Yeah, no. Me and my brothers were all adopted. My parents waited too long to have kids, and before they knew it, Mom was barren. Apparently, they wanted to be financially well off before they had kids. By the time they decided to really try, they were rich as royalty, but unable to have any. They decided to adopt, and went to an orphanage. They couldn't decide which of us they wanted to adopt, so they ended up adopting all 4 of us.
Do you know what happened to your original parents?
No clue. None of us do. None of us care either. We're all Vikis, and that's all that matters. Though I do admit, my brothers are spoiled rotten growing up in such a wealthy home. Not to mention the fact my parents never worked a day the entire time we were growing up. Utterly spoiled.
And you weren't spoiled at all?
No, of course not. See, like my brother, he's currently training to become a doctor, and he plans to open up a free clinic.
That doesn't sound spoiled.
Are you kidding? He's going to work without being paid simply because he knows his family can support him and his expensive education.
Uh-huh.
My other brother Vincent, he joined the military because he knew he was spoiled. He wanted proper discipline and structure. He's currently a commander or something.
Okay.
My youngest brother is so spoiled, he's convinced he's not even human. You see, he has the skin condition that causes long hair to grow all over his entire body, and he's so spoiled that he refuses to accept that he's even human. He's convinced that he's some other species! I mean, really, how spoiled can you be to think you're too special to be human?
Wait, really? Covered in hair?
He also has deformed ears.
That actually doesn't sound human.
Oh, please, not you too. I, on the other hand, intend to complete my education and obtain a paying job with which I can support myself.
Even though you'd never have to work a day in your life because your parents' fortune could pay for it.
Yes, I refuse to be spoiled.
Fair enough. Though, I think we have slightly different definitions of spoiled.
Yeah, but, yeah. That's fine. The conversation suddenly died as the form of a soldier easily taller than Ash strode in, nude as the day she was born, scratching behind her ear.
Gah! Ash?
The soldiers leapt backwards, quick to cover up with the curtain that separated the bath from the barracks.
Do I know you?
No, but I work at the palace. I know you, because I work there. I'm a guard.
Oh, I haven't seen any female guards.
Well, they all run around in full plates. It'd be hard to tell.
Exactly.
You seem really nervous.
I don't do well with public nudity, and I've been enjoying having the bath to myself.
Well, Odette will be here for too much longer. I'm starting to get pruny.
Belinda raised her hands out of the water.
I'll let you finish then.
The soldier scurried away.
Did she seem a little weird to you?
Yeah, but there are degrees of weird. There's her, and then there's you, and way above that, somewhere in the stars, there's Hector.
I'm glad that I at least pale in oddity when compared to him.
Not that hard.
My fuzzy brother pales in oddity compared to Hector.
With that, Belinda pulled herself free of the water. Ash had to admit, though the girl had an excess of weight, she carried it well.
I'm going to ask that guard about towels. I'll be right back.
Ash nodded, letting herself sink beneath the water. She let her mind go blank, reaching out to grasp her errant thoughts with a focus that had become second nature after almost a lifetime of mage training. A disturbance in the water interrupted her meditation, and she cracked an eye beneath the water to see a skin far too natural to be that of a necromancer who had been with her only moments before. Emerging with a gasp from beneath the surface, Ash met the gaze of a lone female guard. I like your hair.
Hello.
Silence was her only response.
Did you suddenly change your mind?
What about?
About...
The guard's blank gaze stole the words from Ash's mouth.
Are you... okay?
Oh, yes, I was just...
The soldier trailed off and fell into silence.
Okay.
Sorry, I just can't seem to find what to say.
Do you need to say something?
Oh, no, I suppose not.
That being said, I don't mind talking. Tell me, how long have you been a guard here at the palace?
Oh, I don't know. A while, I suppose? It feels like forever.
I see.
It seemed like she was a rather poor conversationalist.
Do you like being a guard?
I don't mind it. I will admit it certainly hasn't been as easy as I expected, but it's strange to watch the world pass you by, not noticing. It's kind of nice, actually, not being the center of attention for once.
You were the center of attention?
Oh, yeah, yes. You know, small town. big girl. Hard to avoid it.
I can empathize. Being tall can be quite the burden. I know a thing or two about being a giant freak. Guess I should get used to kissing down, huh?
The thought made her oddly sad.
You're not a freak. You're lovely.
Ash felt a rush of blood stain her cheeks. Ash suddenly became acutely aware of the fact that this woman was quite attractive and sitting with her naked.
You are, very nice yourself.
The woman grew silent and glanced up, revealed she too was flushing.
Thank you. Oh, my, it's getting hot in here, isn't it? I need to step out for a moment.
With a fluid moment, she was out and gone, disappearing into the barracks. Ash sat and felt her cheeks burn. As time passed, she was no longer sure whether the cause was the embarrassment or the water. With a bit of difficulty, her head swimming, Ash climbed out of the pool and steadied herself. A moment later, Linda arrived, a towel tight around herself.
Sorry about that. It took that girl forever to find the spirit towels.
Might have been because she was in here with me for a bit.
She was? She must have been in and out in a heartbeat. I never even noticed her get wet.
Ow! Sorry, bumped my knee against my desk. Okay, that hurts.
But yeah, that would explain the time it took her.
Belinda proffered Ash the towel, and the necromancer quickly wrapped herself up. They took a little more time to dress and ready themselves to leave. On the way out, Ash met the eyes of a guard. Her expression was one of relief, and Ash watched her grab her own towel and head to the bath. No! I do not want to update Windows 10 right now. I am sorry about that. Ash glared from across the courtyard. Since the oddly, actually, you know what? I think this is probably a good spot to end it for now. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next weekend, hopefully. Talk to you later. Bye.